I need to apologize for something my church did, something that happened right up into my lifetime, something that happened in my country that has never been properly addressed from the pulpit. The most impactful religious crisis in Ireland in our generation, and I've never heard a homily or a sermon about it. Have you? Imagine for a moment you come back to your house after spending the day with your friends and a black Ford Prefect sits ticking over outside your door. As soon as you walk in, you know something's wrong. Your mother greets you at the door, leads you into the sitting room. 2 nuns and a priest sit there drinking tea. They're here to take you by force, if necessary, to a Magdalene laundry or a mother and baby home. You'll be forced into slavery, isolated, abused. Maybe if you're difficult, you'll be disappeared into a mental institution. This isn't ancient history. For some watching, it's not even imagination. This is memory. And for many, it remains an unhealed wound. This was reality in Ireland right up into the 1990s. Between 1922 and 1996, over 300,000 women were confined to the Magdalene laundries. That's about 2 to 3% of all Irish women in the 20th century that go through this horrendous system. Look around your town. If you lived then, 2 or 3 out of every 100 women that you see would have endured this. 9,000 children died in 18 mother and baby homes across the country. These places, run by fully trained nurses, had infant mortality rates of 50% or higher. So this wasn't a lack of knowledge. Those nuns were trained. This was neglect. Hundreds of dead babies thrown in mass graves like rubbish, like what happened at Tuam. Then the sexual abuse scandals. Decades of systematic abuse and cover-ups. Paedophile priests moved from parish to parish rather than prosecuted. Victims silenced and shamed, hidden behind the impenetrable curtain of the Roman Catholic Church. As the truth slowly began to emerge, generation after generation left the church, left God. I see my friends wandering away from the church, and I don't blame them. I understand why. It's shaken my own faith. These crimes made me so angry, so sad, so hurt. How much more must the actual victims feel? And the children of the victims? The generational trauma handed down, daughter to mother, mother to daughter. And the church's response? Deafening silence. The only word I ever heard was the Pope's letter read out briefly from the altar one Sunday. Then, nothing. These things didn't just happen in Ireland or just in the Roman Catholic Church. It's a global-wide issue. They're denomination-crossing issues. Wherever there has been unchecked power, there has been unchecked corruption, abuse, and victims left in the wake. To me, this reminds me of an ancient story in the Bible about Eli, a high priest whose sons were corrupt. Even if you're not familiar with the Bible, sounds familiar already, doesn't it? This story could have been written yesterday. They took the best for themselves, abused their position, and told the people, "Hand it over now. If you don't, I'll take it by force." Eli knew, but only gave the mildest of rebukes. God judged Eli for honoring them more than he honored him. Isn't that what the church did? Covered for abusers, honored them over God. Just like Eli, the church didn't defrock paedophile priests or report them to the authorities. They shuffled them around, parish to parish. They denied, distracted, stood in the way of justice. From one side of their mouth lying, "We don't remember where we buried the bodies." From the other saying, "We cooperated with all investigations." I say, Let the truth shine through, because sunlight is a disinfectant. Today, the clergy wonder why they have a thinning congregation. At the end of this story, Eli's back was broken, and so the back of the church is broken. Jesus says in Luke 17, verse 2, it would be better for them to be thrown into the sea with a millstone around their neck than to cause my little ones to stumble. These crimes affected not just the direct victims, but their children who gave up their faith, their grandchildren who never even considered church. For a full generation, it feels like God has left the building. Is this how you feel? It's certainly how I felt. As someone trying to follow Jesus, I'm horrified by what was done in his name. I understand why you left, why you're angry, why you don't trust Christians. The silence from pulpits has been as damaging as the original sins. I apologize deeply for the hurt institutional Christianity caused these women and children, for the hurt it caused society. If the church is to survive, we need acknowledgement, not deflection. Justice, not just forgiveness. An end to institutional protection that seems to be so pervasive in Ireland and across the world for those who've left Christianity. Your anger is righteous. You are right to be angered by what has happened. And God's heart breaks with yours. This isn't a call to return to Mass. This is a call to return to Jesus. Faith and church, they're not the same thing. For those of us who are still in, we cannot worship in buildings built on unmarked graves. Silence is complicity. Demanding accountability is an act of worship. It's Jesus flipping the tables, whipping merchants from the temple. For the leaders of the churches, you need to be accountable. You need to address these issues head on, honestly. Seek the forgiveness of the people and of God. Go forward in a Christ-like manner. Implement strict protection measures. I'm calling you to seek forgiveness. What's your church hurt story? I want to hear it. Not to defend or to minimize it, but to be a witness. Your pain matters, and it's time we stopped pretending it doesn't. The God I follow weeps with the victims, not with the institutions. The Jesus I worship overturned tables when religion became corrupt. If that makes me a bad or troublesome Christian, so be it. I'd rather be faithful to Jesus than loyal to any institution that protects abusers.